Prepare yourself for one of the most astonishing possibilities in all of astronomy. Somewhere inside the constellation Orion, a colossal red star is behaving in ways that have captured the attention of scientists around the world. Not because it is new, but because it may be approaching the most violent moment in its entire existence. The star is Betelgeuse. And astronomers are asking a question that feels almost unreal. Could humanity actually witness Betelgeuse explode? If that moment comes, the night sky itself would change. This would not be a faint astronomical event visible only through giant telescopes. A supernova from Betelgeuse could become one of the brightest objects ever seen in Earth's sky. For weeks, perhaps even months, the star might shine intensely enough to be visible during daylight. At night, Orion would look permanently transformed. And the unsettling part is this. Betelgeuse has already shown signs that something inside the star is changing. Betelgeuse is not an ordinary star nearing the end of its life. It is a red supergiant, one of the largest and most famous stars visible from Earth. Its scale is almost impossible to imagine. If Betelgeuse replaced our Sun, its outer atmosphere would extend beyond the orbit of Mars, swallowing Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars inside its enormous layers. This is a star living fast and dying violently. Massive stars consume their nuclear fuel at extraordinary rates compared to smaller stars like our Sun. And as they approach the end of their lives, they become unstable. They expand. They cool. They pulse. They shed material into space. And eventually, their cores collapse in catastrophic explosions known as supernovas. Astronomers estimate Betelgeuse is roughly 8 to 10 million years old. That sounds ancient by human standards, but for a star this massive, it may already be approaching the final stage of stellar evolution. Its reddish color tells part of the story. Betelgeuse glows red because its surface temperature is cooler than hotter yellow or blue stars. While the Sun's surface sits near 5,500 Kelvin, Betelgeuse's outer layers are closer to around 3,500 Kelvin. That cooling and expansion are classic signs of a star exhausting its internal fuel. And some evidence suggests Betelgeuse may not even have looked exactly the same throughout recorded human history. Ancient descriptions imply the star may once have appeared more orange or yellow than deep red. If true, that means humanity may already have witnessed visible changes in the star during civilization itself. The heavens above us are not as permanent as they appear. Then came the event that truly shocked the world. In late 2019, Betelgeuse suddenly began fading dramatically. Not in subtle scientific measurements hidden inside computer data, but visibly. One of the brightest stars in the night sky dimmed so noticeably that amateur astronomers across Earth could track the change with their own eyes. By early 2020, the star had faded to an astonishing fraction of its normal brightness. Immediately, speculation exploded. Had the supernova begun? Because Betelgeuse has long been considered one of the leading candidates for a nearby future stellar explosion, astronomers everywhere turned their attention toward Orion. If a red supergiant suddenly dims dramatically, scientists pay attention. Very close attention. But what researchers discovered afterward made the story even stranger. Observations from Hubble Space Telescope and other instruments revealed that Betelgeuse had ejected an enormous cloud of hot material into surrounding space. That material later cooled into dust, partially blocking the star from Earth's view and creating the dramatic dimming effect. In other words, Betelgeuse was not exploding yet. But it was behaving violently. The event showed that the star's outer layers are highly unstable, capable of ejecting vast quantities of matter in gigantic convulsive outbursts. And that realization forced astronomers to rethink older models of how red supergiants behave near the ends of their lives. Traditionally, scientists believed stars like Betelgeuse lost mass relatively steadily over long periods before collapse. But Betelgeuse appears far more chaotic. Its outer atmosphere seems turbulent, irregular, and unstable in ways researchers still do not fully understand. The dimming event suggested the star may be shedding enormous amounts of material in unpredictable bursts. Almost as if the star itself is struggling to maintain stability. That uncertainty has changed the conversation around Betelgeuse. Some astronomers still believe the star may survive for another 100,000 years or more before exploding. Others suggest it could already be in an advanced nuclear burning phase that precedes collapse on much shorter cosmic timescales. Nobody knows exactly when the supernova will occur. But the old confidence that it was certainly far beyond any human lifetime no longer feels quite as secure. And there is another fascinating detail. Betelgeuse is not stationary. The giant star is moving through interstellar space rapidly enough to create a massive bow shock, a wave-like structure formed as stellar winds collide with surrounding gas and dust. Everything about the star suggests motion, instability, pressure, and transformation. It is a giant system under stress. So what would actually happen if Betelgeuse finally exploded? First, the visual impact on Earth would be extraordinary. This would become a global sky event unlike anything modern civilization has ever experienced. Betelgeuse could briefly rival or even outshine the brightness of the moon. People might walk outside during daylight and see a brilliant new point burning in the sky where none existed before. At night, Orion would become almost unrecognizable. The familiar reddish shoulder of the constellation would erupt into an intense white-blue blaze dominating the heavens. Entire generations would remember exactly where they were the night the sky changed. Scientifically, the event would be priceless. Astronomers would witness the death of a massive nearby star in real time across every region of the electromagnetic spectrum. Telescopes would observe the expanding shock wave. Detectors would capture floods of neutrinos, tiny particles released directly from the collapsing stellar core. Those neutrinos would provide unprecedented insight into one of the most violent processes in nature. Researchers would study how heavy elements are forged and blasted into surrounding space, the same elements that eventually become planets, oceans, and living organisms. Because supernovas are not merely destructive. They are cosmic engines of creation. Many of the atoms inside your body were once formed inside exploding stars. And Betelgeuse, when it dies, will continue that cycle. Importantly, Earth itself is not believed to be in serious danger from the explosion. Betelgeuse sits roughly 700 light-years away, unimaginably distant by human standards. That distance protects us. What humanity would experience is not catastrophe, but revelation. A front-row seat to stellar death on a scale no civilization has ever scientifically observed before. Part of what makes scientists so interested in Betelgeuse today is that they now possess modern examples of how giant stars may behave shortly before exploding. In 2023, astronomers observed a remarkable supernova known as SN 2023 IXF inside the Pinwheel Galaxy. The event revealed evidence that massive stars may eject huge quantities of material shortly before collapse, surrounding themselves in dense shells of gas. That discovery matters enormously. Because Betelgeuse has already demonstrated dramatic mass loss behavior of its own. The comparison does not prove Betelgeuse is about to explode. But it changes how astronomers interpret the warning signs. We now understand that the final years of giant stars may be far more unstable than older theories suggested. And that realization makes Betelgeuse feel less distant and abstract. It feels alive. Unpredictable. Dangerously active. If the supernova happens during humanity's era, the emotional impact would be overwhelming. This would not remain confined to scientists or observatories. Every culture on Earth would witness it together: cities, villages, deserts, coastlines, mountaintops. People everywhere would look upward and realize the sky they grew up with had changed permanently. That is what makes the possibility feel so haunting. We instinctively imagine the constellations as eternal, fixed patterns suspended forever above human history. A Betelgeuse supernova would shatter that illusion overnight. It would remind humanity that the universe is still evolving around us in real time. Stars are born. Stars change. And stars die. Even the familiar ones. And perhaps the most powerful part of all is this: Betelgeuse's death would not simply represent an ending. It would represent transformation. A massive star collapsing under its own gravity. An explosion scattering the ingredients of future solar systems across space. A cosmic cycle of destruction giving birth to creation once again. That is why the idea of Betelgeuse exploding feels so emotionally overwhelming. Because it forces humanity to confront something both terrifying and beautiful at the same time. The sky is not static. The universe is not silent. And above our heads, even now, enormous events are slowly unfolding whether we notice them or not. If this changed the way you see the night sky, stay tuned for more journeys into the mysteries of the cosmos. Because someday, perhaps sooner than anyone expects, the entire world may look up together and witness